All right, so what are we doing here?
We are doing the introduction episode, which is we're going to answer three basic questions about what we are doing here.
All right.
So, the Morwood Chronicles are a combination of Dave and my last name. I'm Greg Morin. He's David
I'm
Wood.
Dave Wood.
Uh, my wife Jen came up with that name, and we kind of liked it and rolled with it.
Right.
Uh,
And the wife says the wife, so we do.
she,
We don't really.
she's the real boss here. The basic idea is that we both really like music and wanted to get better at understanding other people's views on music and maybe branch out and start exploring
Even
some
each other's views on music. Let's go
very different.
find out things about each other.
Gonna get into a lot of fights.
It's a good thing we're not that close.
Right. So we're just going to try to get a better understanding of different types of music. As we go, we'll probably start learning more about the technical aspect of music. I know that's something that I definitely want to get more into.
I definitely would love to get introduced to new music because I have such a broad spectrum of music that I love. It's very hard for me to be introduced to something new that I like. So that would be fun, trying to find some maybe new bands or something.
Right, you're right. And that's all through just
Hopefully, you guys.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. We're going to require a lot of interaction with our listeners and our viewers. We're going to want everybody's opinions on things about, like, say, if we miss something that you guys would like to see covered, we'll get into some of that as we go along too. We also wanted to try to learn about playing music too.
Yeah.
We've definitely, me in particular, more so than Dave, have been heavily into the trying to learn the basics of all this stuff. Dave's already been playing for a while.
I know the basics. That's about. I mean, I'm definitely not a professional guitarist by any means. I can just I'm a campfire, entertain the crowd kind of, play the guitar kind of guy. I can play all the chords. That's that's about it.
And I can't even do that yet. So
well, you can play them all. You just can't play them all together.
right. Give me a couple minutes. I can put my fingers on the chord for an F, but don't expect much more than that out of me. You got to give me a minute, and I'll get it. I can play it once, and don't expect me to change it because that's not going to happen.
And you guys, I'm sure, will see this at some point in action.
Maybe even this episode.
Maybe we haven't thought about that yet.
And yeah, we're basically just looking to explore music and its effects on people's lives. And
so, do you remember your your introduction to music? Like when you first was like, wow, like I love music and like this is going to be a part of my life.
It's a good story mixed with a story that is kind of maybe a little bit embarrassing for some people because it involves one of the most controversial bands going, and they are still going, barely.
Most controversial bands.
Try to. Well, I'll just go into the story then.
Yeah. Next.
On my 6th birthday, my brother Chris, who always came up with the coolest gifts. They were never really like overly expensive gifts. In fact, most of the time they were hand-me-downs, as this one was. He brought upstairs from his bedroom that was in the basement at the time a boombox. It was a Casio boombox, gray, with the two little 6-inch speakers on either side. And
Very say anything?
Very much.
Okay.
Almost that, probably that exact one.
The one they used?
Maybe.
Okay.
It was a prop from a movie. I didn't know it. But he brought me upstairs that boombox and a single cassette tape. And that cassette tape was of Kiss's Double Platinum. And that's why this is kind of an embarrassing story mixed with one of my most fond memories of my childhood. Kiss is a very controversial band in that you either love Kiss or you hate Kiss. There's no casual Kiss fans out there. And I am in the former. I'm a huge Kiss fan. and I've been since my 6th birthday. My 7th birthday, my 7th Halloween, I should say, I dressed up as Gene Simmons. In the Let's Sing singing group, I've dressed up as members of Kiss thrice now. uh, I just love Kiss, and it was because of that, because my brother came upstairs with that boombox and double platinum, which was Kiss's first greatest hits album, basically. So it had all their greatest songs up until that point, and I wore that cassette tape out.
Okay.
So that was my introduction to music. From there, I branched out a very
God.
little bit towards like Iron Maiden, and then a little bit of Metallica as I got older and got into like high school.
Right, right.
I was a metalhead all the way. Pantera, Metallica, Megadeth, Slipknot, all that type of thing. Iron Maiden. I really kind of avoided the grunge phase, but later on got a very good appreciation of grunge, and mainly Dave Grohl as a person.
Dave Grohl is just amazing. I mean, he's just one of the best artists, of
And
our time.
I feel like he's a really cool person.
He is
like, just a guy that you'd want to hang out with.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely have a beer with him, hang out, and talk. And if he wasn't a super famous musician, he would be doing this right now with his friends.
I feel like, and I feel like we'd all get along really well with him, just instinctively. What about you?
Well, my first memory of music is not nearly as extravagant as your story. Did involve a band with a lot of makeup. But I remember probably 4 or 5 years old, sitting in front of the TV. When I say sitting in front of it, like just right here, and watching Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It, and watching it over and over. Every time it came on, I would run to the living room and sit down and watch it, and just being obsessed with that song and Dee Snider. Like, I just thought it was the coolest. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on, but it just drew me. And unfortunately, later on, I met Dee Snider because he lives around us, and he came into a restaurant that I used to work in, and he was kind of not a nice person. So he kind of definitely ruined that memory for me.
That's interesting, because I actually work at a job that he frequents.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He comes on board the ferries that I work on. It was more regular several years ago, but he was always super laid back and just a really nice guy with us.
Yeah, he came in all the time, and I would never say anything. We would come to the carry-out area of the restaurant, and I'd never mention anything to him. I was really cool with him. People would always talk to him, and he'd be like, I'm here with my family. I'm not here for that. And one day, it was very slow. There was nobody in there. I had brought a Twisted Sister record and I had it in my car at all times. So when it was, I figured I'd find the right time, and I finally asked him if he would sign it, and he was like, "No, I'm here not for that." And I was like, "Wow, that's kind of, it was, kind of standoffish to me."
So Dee, if you're listening, now's your chance to make it up to a super fan.
You were my inspiration for this whole thing. You're the reason we're doing it. So, but growing up, I definitely, music with my family was very, very, very big. My mom, I had all her records. Definitely got into the classic rock before I got into the metal. The Led Zeppelins and the Pink Floyds. Every record she had, I listened to it. Bread, America, Alabama, like all these. Right. Just I listened to it all, but definitely got into the metal scene.
Yeah, both of us are pretty early metalheads.
We're coming from the '80s. I mean, that's where we grew up, and then same thing. Grunge, I hated because it ruined my hair metal. It took it all away from me. Right.
For a lot of metalheads, grunge was the beginning of the end
of an era of music. It really was, and I get it. There was a lot of people that didn't like that music and couldn't relate to the Poisons and
definitely.
But that's
particularly the Poisons and the Kisses and the
it was all happy fun music, and not there were some pretty miserable unhappy kids when he did some other type of music, which is understandable.
And that is a beautiful just basic, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do here, because later on we both, now obviously grunge is a huge part of
Oh yeah.
the history of music. And
Yeah, I think it's the last like great era of music, like that has happened like with real bands, like like to me Pearl Jam is probably like the last like great band that's still
right, yeah,
doing their thing, you know.
incredible how devastated that scene got with the passing of all the frontmen of those bands.
Yeah,
Pretty much
it's crazy to me. It's going on 30 years next month that Nevermind came out.
unreal, unreal.
30 years.
So that brings
Nuts.
us to our the second question
Okay.
is, what are your current favorite bands, and what are you listening to now?
Current favorite bands? I mean, I'm very big on listening now to just random stations. I don't really listen to any specific. I guess that's the way music is now. You don't like listen to CDs. You don't
Yeah,
pop a CD.
albums
Yeah,
aren't a thing
you don't
anymore.
pop a CD, and but still to this day, if I have to listen to a CD, like in my one car, I only have a CD player. I don't have any MP3 connection or anything, so I have CDs in there, and it's Guns N' Roses every album. I have a 5 disc CD changer, and I listen to them from start to beginning. I've been doing it for years. That's my band. It's always going to be.
See, I could have even told you what your favorite band was if you were having a hard time with it. I was going to pick it out of the hat for you.
Well, no, I didn't know if the question was my favorite band now, like or
Right.
my of
Well,
all time. Trying to think of bands that are really good now that I enjoy. Coldplay I think is an amazing band. Mostly when I saw them in concert, it was just an amazing show. It really captivated me. Um, but that's a totally different type of music. It's really different.
from your typical.
From my typical, yeah. I mean, I love as a musician, I love to play that type of music.
Right.
I love piano music and very, like say like romantic or anything like that. Like I love that type of stuff. Um,
I've always thought that was an interesting part of what you and I have been doing lately too. Is it like we both really enjoy rock and metal
Yeah.
and that type of thing, but we instantly gravitate towards our acoustic guitars and taking those songs and making them acoustic. Sometimes we even force them to become acoustic, which is kind of fun. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of always been the same. I still am huge into Kiss. I'm big into Slipknot. If I had to say a band that is my favorite band right now, it is Slipknot. We're fresh off the heels of one of their best albums that they've ever written, as far as I'm concerned, which was "We Are Not Your Kind," which was just a powerhouse of an album from beginning to end. There isn't a single track on that album that I skip.
okay.
They're all just fantastic cuts, and they just came out with a new track last week. Uh,
Okay.
Chapeltown Rag is the new song that they just came out with, and
Okay.
it is heavy,
Yeah.
heavy. So the heavier the better for me.
Yeah. See, I think that's the time period when metal for me, I kind of drifted away from it. And that probably like the mid '90s. When things got a little, it wasn't my taste.
Yeah, you're definitely more of the melodic.
Yeah, definitely love the Metallicas of the world. That's
Which was Guns N' Roses' wheelhouse for
yeah. Well,
forever.
that's a whole different type of metal too. That's more of a rock.
Right.
When I'm talking metal, like, as far as like an Anthrax or a
Right.
Sepultura,
Slayer.
Morbid Angel, Slayer, like that's that was more my wheelhouse. And then I definitely went away from it. I guess you get older and your tastes change a little bit.
Right. And for me, speaking of, how you like different types of music, we go from Slipknot to my favorite singer-songwriter, who is Colin Hay.
Yeah.
Now, couldn't get any further away from Slipknot, obviously. The songs he writes are just unbelievably meaningful, and
Right.
just every word that he puts in his song seems to resonate with somebody's, and particularly my emotion, whatever the emotion he's trying to convey in that song.
Well, that's
I-
why for me, there's different reasons I like music. Either it's just the band I like, and I'm just gonna like their music, or it's the melodic sound of the music. It's the rhythm, the drums, everything all together. It sounds good. The lyrics mean nothing. The
Right.
music just sounds good, or like you said, then just the lyrics are just so deep full.
They hit you.
Yeah, Like we just saw Chris Stapleton,
Unbelievable.
and the guy is just never mind being an amazing singer and guitar player. His lyrically, he hits you, and he projects it in such a way.
And that was the very first thing I had said to you, because country is not my cup of tea. And
Yeah.
to be honest, that concert was the reason I was like, you know what? I think we would have something if we did a podcast about this.
Mhm.
The Chris Stapleton concert that we had just gone to is another huge reason why this exists. Because though it wasn't my cup of tea, the entire concert was a masterclass in just music. It's unbelievable how effortless some of these artists can make this seem, and it makes you feel like you can do it too.
It does. Some of his stuff seems so simple too. It is very simple. Even the lyrics, they are simple, but they have such double entendres, and he just puts it together so well.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Yeah.
So so gun to your head, are you a lyrics guy or a music guy?
I at this point I'd probably have to go with lyrics.
Yeah, me as well.
I have to, I'd have to, man.
But a good tune will keep me hooked.
Because I can listen to a Metallica instrumental,
Right.
something like Orion. It's just there's no lyrics. It's just a journey of music.
Yep.
And it's amazing. But can I listen to a whole album like that of 10, 15 different songs?
I'd tune it out eventually. So I guess what we're both saying is that we come for the music and stay for the lyrics.
That's probably why I choose something like the Beatles over the Rolling Stones.
Right.
I think the Stones have better music. I think Mick Jagger is a better frontman. He's probably the best frontman of all time. But lyrically, you can't touch Lennon McCarthy.
No, absolutely not. So. There's nothing you can do. And that the Beatles were the epitome of the very first band that would constantly reinvent itself.
Yeah. They definitely their original, first couple albums were definitely more rock and roll.
Right.
Less lyric, even though they had great lyrics, but they weren't as lyrically
complex and meaningful, but still just great tunes.
That's a whole another day of talking.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. If you don't think we're going to get into the Beatles and the Stones.
Oh, of course.
So the final question is, ultimately, what do you want to do with this?
What I want to do with it? Whatever makes you happy, man. That's my goal in life is always.
I'm the boss. That's why I have the better microphone.
He does have the better microphone. They sound the same, but it just costs more.
Way more. Can you tell the difference?
Comment if you can tell the difference. I want to know who can.
Audio, like through headphones.
Audio or just visually, if you can tell, just looking at them.
Mine's blue.
That doesn't make it better.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? but more than just trying to make me happy, because I'm a needy bitch.
I would, like I said earlier, I would love to be introduced to some new music that I maybe I just wouldn't even give a chance on a normal situation. If I see comments and people just saying, "You guys listen to this band, it's so good," maybe I'll give it a chance where I wouldn't have.
Right.
There are certain bands, I'd say like the Grateful Dead. I say I don't like them, but I've just never really listened to them.
Right. They seem like a tough band to give a chance to, because their songs are 15 minutes long.
I don't even know. To me, that type of band is just very cultic, where it's just a following of, we like the Dead because we like the Dead.
Right. It's we have the van.
Yeah,
the stickers.
It's cool to be a Dead fan.
Right.
I guess I stayed away from that. Even Pink Floyd. I didn't listen to Pink Floyd
for
a long time.
The Dead passed me by. Floyd, I was into, but I don't think it was because of the cultishness of their following. I genuinely enjoyed The Wall.
Well,
I mean, if you don't like The Wall,
just tune off right now.
Insanity. But obviously, then Wish You Were Here. Like, a lot of their songs just hit me.
Yeah.
And so I like them in that sense, but I wasn't a huge fan of, like you were saying. I wasn't a huge fan of Pink Floyd.
I am now much more than when I was a youth. Like I said, I just didn't give them a chance because it was like I never wanted to be like a follower. I always felt like people liked Pink Floyd because you're supposed to like Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
Pink Floyd because it's Pink Floyd.
they're cool. So you
Right.
have to like them.
And that is what I'm getting at with my fandom of the Foo Fighters currently.
Mhm.
And again, it's I I was steadfast against Nirvana because they were Nirvana and they were taking away for me what was they were killing my favorite music.
Yeah.
So I brushed them off. I said, they're no good anyway. And then, obviously, what happened with Kurt happened with Kurt. And I was one of those guys when Dave Grohl came out with the Foo Fighters, and we're like, it's just more cookie cutter Nirvana bullshit, and I don't want it in my life. And he actually addressed that at his first press conference with the Foo Fighters before their first album came out. That that's what I do. I make rock and roll music. If you're expecting me to come out with a band that doesn't sound like Nirvana, I don't know why you're here, because I'm Dave Grohl. I play loud drums and play rock and roll music.
Right.
So as we've gone on, I've obviously they're a mega band. They're just their songs are amazing, and he just seems like a really good guy.
Yeah, for me, I think I like the Foo Fighters more just because of Dave Grohl.
Right.
Just because his personality and who he is. I definitely give them more of a listen because of that.
Right.
You know.
I don't think Dave would ever Dee Schneider you.
No. I think he would probably smack Dee Snider in the face if he was in front of him and heard that story.
Celebrity boxing.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
Presented by the Morwood Chronicles.
Oh, that's a wrap.
Good, because I think our audio just cut out.
No, it didn't.
No, it was my headphones.
I see the line going back.
No, I know, but it was my headphones. I guess I have a bad connection still.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't have any, great equipment yet because
we're just trying this out. Except for this microphone. This microphone is really good.
I'm gonna paint mine blue.
You should. It'll sound way better.
Oh man!
So
what song were we gonna do?
Oh, we're gonna play a little later. Gloria.
Oh,
acoustically.
I wish. Oh yeah, I was supposed to learn that, wasn't I?
Well, you just got back.
I did. I mean,
we can learn it now. It's not hard. It's A. I think it was A E. Very simple. It's just we got to get the strumming pattern.
Yeah, well, that's what playing guitar is.
Right. Yeah. You strum the strings. AEDA. There's an F in there. There's an F.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna take me several minutes to put my hand in the right position. We got an F. Oh God. There's two. There's a second one. 3.
Oh man.
We are up to 4 Fs.
Now you're talking about Gloria from the Lumineers, right?
No.
Oh, that's a really good song. That is actually one of my new favorite bands, even though it's really one guy. He's had different band members. I listened to, I think, all his albums on one of my road trips. I drive for a living. I drive a lot, so.
We're gonna get some Dave on the road footage eventually.
Yeah, and I listen. It is such good music. Like it's really, again, really simple. He's kind of like a guy who makes. I think he makes music in a studio like this,
right?
On his computer. But
which is another great part of the current music scene is that anyone can. Well, you've got
anybody with a few bucks.
And you don't even need that much.
No.
Like everything here, maybe a few $100s, and you can literally make an album in your basement.
The equipment we have here doesn't cost that much, but it's probably better quality than the Beatles made in Abbey Road.
Right. and that's what it is. Like you could do this, like and you go to a concert and you see it, and I can do this.
Yeah.
And let's get a couple of guys. We'll come get a $100 drum set here and just go to town and like.
If I could put what thoughts I have in my head on the paper and then make it into music, I could do it. I just can't do it.
Right.
I've tried.
And
that's one thing I can't do.
That's where the talent portion comes in. You got to be talented, and there's no accounting for it. If you don't have it, it's not going to happen.
Like my mother, I can say, "Hey, there's a black dot in the wall," and she'll in 30 minutes she'll write a whole song about a black dot in the wall, and I'm like, "I hate you."
Yeah. Damn. Not really. Not
Not
really.
really.
Because I'm imagining your mother is going to listen to us.
Well, yeah, she definitely would, but she would expect me to say that. So
Oh, okay.
she would have taught me how to be a smart ass like that.
And so we know we got one listener at least. I'm imagining my
I mean,
wife.
if we're lucky. I mean, she might turn. She
by,
might
by now, she's tuned out.
She might subscribe just to be there.
Oh, I support the boys.
Oh man.
All right, so that's basically an introduction to what we want to do here.
Yeah.
We want to branch out. We want to get more knowledge about just music in general. And we want to hear from everybody out there. We want you guys to be a part of this.
Yeah, we want this to become very comfortable. Just two dudes just talking about what they love.
We're going to have to get some more comfortable chairs, though.
Yeah, definitely. My butt is already not happy.
It's just a bar stool. We're sitting on stools. It's terrible.
You know, if I could have a camera just follow me around, and every time I go into a bar and have a conversation, that's kind of what I'd like to have recorded.
Yeah,
you know, that would be ideal. But
so that's the vibe we're going for. Our first couple of episodes, our first 10 episodes, what we're gonna do is go through Billboard's top 100, top 10 albums of all time, like the top 10 albums that have been on Billboard's top 100 for the longest. So the longer they were in number one spot,
right.
That's their rank.
So the Pink Floyd Wall type stuff,
What are going on there?
The Wall album was like on the top 100 for like 30 years.
No, I'm saying the Metallica's Black Album was on the top 100. It still currently is, but it wasn't in the number one spot.
So you're saying number one album that actually reached number one. I gotcha.
The longest album in the number one spot for the longest time is going to be the number one album.
So like Thriller.
Yeah, Thriller I think was number 3.
I think Katy Perry has an album up there too.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do?
I shouldn't be so disgusted. You know,
she's extremely talented.
She is.
We're going down another rabbit hole. Miley Cyrus is unbelievably talented. Holy shit.
I mean, being devil's advocate, I think she is talented, but having the upbringing that she had, if she didn't,
how could you not be?
If she didn't have that initial start,
would she have been that?
Right.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I'll use
100%.
it as like a sports analogy. Like for me, like Eli Manning doesn't make the NFL if his last name's not Manning.
Correct.
You know.
Yes.
I think he became a really good quarterback, possibly Hall of Fame quarterback, but I don't think he ever gets the chance.
Good point. Very good point. Okay. So, what we're going to do at first, our first 10 episodes are going to be, we're going to listen through the top 10 all-time Billboard number one albums. So the longer an album was at the number one spot, as many weeks as an album was at the number one spot, that determines its rank on the Billboard top 100.
Now, is this albums or songs? Sorry.
This is albums.
Full albums.
Full albums.
Okay.
We're going to be doing a lot of full album kind of stuff.
So we're going to listen to the whole album?
We're going to, not on air.
Okay.
Before we record, we're going to branch out and listen to stuff that we ordinarily wouldn't listen to.
Okay.
Almost none of these are albums that I've listened to all the way through. So, our very first episode, official episode, episode 1, is going to be a listen through and discussion about Carole King's Tapestry album from 1971. So,
great album.
I've never heard it.
Really?
Not a single time in my life.
Never.
Nope.
You've heard you have.
I'm sure I've heard songs off of it. I've never listened to the album all the way through.
Oh no, I don't think I listened to the whole album, but I mean.
So if you guys want to listen along and make up some of your own comments and questions that you want to give to us, we're going to be listening to 1971's Tapestry by Carole King. And that's going to be our very first episode. And then we're going to move on from there. All right? We hope you guys enjoyed the introductory episode of the Morwood Chronicles. And we'll see you next time.
I'm Greg. I'm Dave. He's Greg.
You got it. Second time. Second time's a charm. Just remember, Greg's the guy with the better microphone.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.